General Otafiire is teaching Emmanuel Lumala-Dombo to listen and listen well, and telling him there's a sin of silence. Did you attend that lawyers forum?
I didn't attend, but I saw his remarks. Yeah. So what's interesting is one minister in Museveni's government is saying people should listen. That's the Minister of Internal Affairs. By the way, he's the one who heads the police that arrests without any investigations. Then another minister, the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, is saying that those who don't want to be quiet will be made quiet. Now, I don't know how to take this. So you have on one hand a historical, Gen Otafiire, who was also a Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, by the way, who is saying, I don't know if he was telling Dombo, I think he was in that midst, there was the Attorney General. I think he was also talking about the DPP and the judiciary, really, but mainly the police that he is supposed to oversee. Why are you arresting people? Why are you arresting them without any investigations? But also you DPP, why are you not prosecuting them? Why do we have people that are in jail for years without the cases being prosecuted? Going back to also the judiciary that, refuses to even give them bail, even where the case is not prosecuted, or refuses to, there is something called warrant of prosecution. The judiciary has powers to dismiss a case that hasn't been prosecuted. But I don't know how many times I've said here, I'll keep giving one case of the NUP supporters that have been in jail for 5 months and I mean 5 years and about 7 months now. So these people, you arrest them, and while you're arresting them, we've been running videos from their loved ones, and they were refreshing our minds how they were arrested. They would pick them up saying, what are you doing with Bob Wine? What are you planning? Then when they reached, they first disappeared for months. Their loved ones didn't know where they were. When they were finally taken to the court martial, they were told that they had explosives. Explosives they never found them with. But up to now, those explosives have never been, the exhibits, the witnesses have never come. So the Minister of Internal Affairs is asking those questions and singled out Kizza Besigye and says, in the eyes of the public, he's innocent because you failed to prosecute the man. You kidnapped him from Kenya saying you have, a lot of evidence against him that he wanted to, but that evidence hasn't come. But now, I don't know how to take comments like those. Because you are a minister, we need to see that you are reining in on your police that is arresting people. If you have failed, or if it's not police, like in many cases, because in many cases it's not police that is doing this, the arrests which are very unlawful are in most cases done by SFC, JAT. We have so many. Maybe you should resign and say, I'm not going to preside over a police that is, that I cannot control, or a security agency that I cannot control. And then, like I said, you have on the other hand, a Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs who is boasting about repression. We are going to make people quiet. He is not questioning people that are kidnapped and disappeared. Sam Mugumya has been missing for the last 25 days now. He's not boasting. Otafiire mentioned someone else. Rwangomin, yes, he has also been missing for a while. So how do we now take this cabinet, this government of Museveni, where one minister is speaking like us, the helpless citizens, while the other is boasting of whoever doesn't keep quiet? Because in what?
Thank you, Agatha. We have limited time.
Yes. Let me
so we had a chat on this, and I want to have a discussion with it after the show, where I can express an opinion. But you talk about helpless people. We have a helpless, powerful person in the studio. He went and started his people export company as well. So they are not alone. Honorable Katuntu on Gen Otafiire's comments.
First of all, it is quite refreshing to hear voices like a Gen Otafiire out there, those who are in government and they are responsible for the sector. To me, all is not lost. There are still people out there who want to speak the language which we all expect them to. And I really don't want anybody to look at it negatively. We need just, Otafiire should actually be praised that he can come out even openly and say it publicly. Because nobody, you see, there's this mentality that it is all us who are this or who have the right to talk about those. If you are there, why are you talking like us? I think that is mentality is wrong. Every Ugandan, whether you're in government or outside government,
I am being misrepresented. That's not what I said.
Well, I didn't talk about you. Anyway, you see, all Ugandans, if this country goes in trouble, we're equally cooked. It happened during Amin's time, for those of us who were there at that time, at the time when, including those who were supporters of the regime, had to be victims. So, Gen Otafiire was speaking law, he was speaking common sense, and he was speaking morals. Maybe he represents the kind of NRA officers at that time. He, the 1986 NRA, who thought this country had really gone off track and they needed to help put it back on track. And we need to have more of the Otafiires. We don't need Honorable Dombo. We don't need apologies. We don't need apologies of regimes. We don't of mistakes. We need people who are saying something is wrong. And you need to couple his public comments with the letter he wrote about the function of the Right Honorable Kadaga in what? In Soga and so on. They seem to be related. Say, look here, can't we do things according to the land, so on? So we need more of that. And I hope his police was listening. And I hope people like Dombo who speak, Honorable Dombo who speak for the regime are also listening, that actually if there's something wrong, let us speak the same language. That's what Ugandans expect to hear from you, Dombo.
The future of NRM, Duncan Abigava.
He will be in jail over this coffee project.
The future is finding in jail.
The future of NRM. The general says, listen and listen properly. And silence is a sin.
Yes, I watched Gen Otafiire, and to an extent, I was frozen because I could not believe that he was actually saying these things. Wow. But it also tells you that we now have two NRMs. There's the NRM, the old guard, the NRM of Otafiire, what he was saying the other day, and the ideals they went to fight for, and he keeps repeating it, and the vices they went to fight against.
There's also yours, the NRM of PLU.
That is the NRM of Otafiire.
Yours is also there. So that makes it three.
So then you have the NRM of Kiriowa Kiwanuka, the new NRM. That is now the powerful bloc of NRM. The NRM of Kiriowa Kiwanuka, the NRM that was dishing a lot of money in the Kororo the other day. You know, somebody who was buying a vote 500,000. That is the new NRM. It controls power right now, which has friends like Norbert Mao and so forth. Chiriowa Kiwanuka was at the same event with Otafiire, and he spoke after Otafiire, and you could not believe that these two people sit in the same cabinet and score in the same goal rather, because their views are at the end of the outliers.
Yeah, but to be fair, what did Kiwanuka say which contradicted Otafiire at that function? Because I listened to both of them.
So let me build my point or conclude.
Yeah, sometimes it's not correct to ban somebody for no.
The other day, in Usoga, police wrote.
Sometimes many times I encounter Chiriwa Chwanuka at the golf club, and I've promised to invite him here so we can shout at him, and he has said he's very free and willing to come here and be shouted
police
at. So you keep some comments for him.
This one was unfair.
Police wrote blocking the rally of the procession of Right Honorable Kadaga in Usoga. She had a homecoming. And actually, the police went ahead to enforce. At first, we thought, these were games and so forth. But police went ahead to enforce.
I saw a letter permitting her to have a rally.
Yeah, but she said there should be no processions.
Yeah.
And police went ahead to block the procession. And the Right Honorable Kadaga the other day had been number 3 in the country. And she could summon the IGP and give him any orders. And she was number 3 in the party the other day. But she's also now undergoing harassment. So sometimes what Otafiire is doing, is if we do not speak against some of these things, honestly, tomorrow they are coming to bite. Okay. You might be in cabinet today, you might be something today, tomorrow you won't. And you see, it will come to bite you. They have started with blocking Kadaga's procession. The other day, I could be abducted.
She held it.
She held the procession.
The other day I could be abducted because they have been abducting people and I'm keeping quiet. So like you have to call me the new NRM. I think for us, we are telling now, we have to tell our elders the truth that some of these things are wrong and they must be corrected.
Yeah.
So,
Raymond.
But it is the elders telling you.
Raymond,
it is Otafiire and elder telling you, not you telling him.
Oscar, under the Constitution of Uganda, for us, we are citizens. Their duties are accorded to us as citizens. One of those duties is to campaign for good governance. That Constitution, however, creates members of parliament, gives them office, and gives them to protect the Constitution. Otafiire is a member of parliament. That same Constitution creates an executive. So you cannot be an activist when you are governing. You really cannot be an activist when you're governing. And for me, this is really like murky waters now because everyone seems to be an activist in their own government, including the president. You often hear the president saying, I'm unhappy with my government. But if you're unhappy with your government, the Constitution gives you things to do with them. If you're unhappy with someone, you can sack them, you can appoint a new minister. And for me, this is why I was slightly unhappy with Honorable Otafiire because when the arrest and detention of Kizza Besigye happened, he was the serving Minister of Internal Affairs. He controls the Uganda police force under him.
This recent arrest.
Yes. Yes, he didn't arrest him, but he's the minister in charge of he could have written to ask, can you provide clarity how this arrest happened?
Yeah, but even if he wrote,
in
supposed to give me a copy.
In charge of again,
when a government works,
on the floor of parliament,
work with the press.
On the floor of parliament, the matter of Kizza Besigye, the matter of political detainees has been severally raised. He has a duty to make a ministerial statement on that.
And he has made several. He has made several.
No, but that's the thing. He's an activist. But why are you being activist in your own government? Then resign the position and have someone else. No, Abdul Katuntu. This is why people are unhappy. Because you cannot be a minister with powers and be an activist at a law society event. Resign the position. Join us as duties of citizens. Yes, join us as citizens.
There is this arrogance.
No. It's not arrogance. It's the duties of citizens.
It is a pure
you saw the arrogance. And no, Oscar, this is the thing. The arrogance is the political
has
class.
Given you his time.
Yes, the arrogance is this political class of Uganda. That, we are 45 million citizens. We are trying to make this country work. People are looking for jobs. People are looking for an economy that works. Then you have this political elite that we pay handsomely. We put every comfort to them. We give them money, allowances, fuel, everything. Then we appoint some of them. Some of them are ministers. I give way to Minister Otafiire on the road because the man has a convoy, so that he can reach where he's reaching earlier. If he has a problem with a citizen being detained without trial,
Why are you raising it at a Law Society event? Tomorrow, Monday is a cabinet meeting. Show up in Monday in the cabinet meeting. Say, we have a citizen who is detained without trial. Fight that with the president of Uganda.
Okay. Well said, Raymond.
Move that with your judiciary.
Thank you.
Call your minister of judiciary. Does he not have Norbert Mao's number? Should we give it to him?
Hold on.
No. This,
Thank
Oscar,
you, Raymond.
we must tell our political elite we are tired of this inactivity. You can't be activist.
Yes.
Resign the government. Give us the government then.
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
you earlier read the message from one of the listeners
Yes.
who said, when you see a rat running towards fire,
It means where he's coming from.
when you
is
see a
hotter.
minister speaking at conferences, then you know there are problems. I saw people who were also angry with Mao. And I looked at Mao just as a commentator. Because even what he claimed that things are happening in the right rooms, Mao doesn't sit there. He's just a commentator like these ones commentating about football. They are not the players, but they can speak about football and tell you who's about to score. So Museveni has reduced cabinet into that. Otafiire, I know Mao cannot get frustrated, but Otafiire can get frustrated. Having been part of this government, and if you look at the people who are near contemporaries of Museveni, I think it's only Otafiire who has remained. And his troubles, you remember earlier, when he said, when you criticized Muhoozi Kainerugaba, I know for a fact, Museveni asked Sare to mediate between Muhoozi and Otafiire. And Otafiire goes to North. He doesn't even sit in the meeting. He abused them and left. So he's frustrated, and I can understand why these days he has also become a commentator. Because his colleague, Museveni, I think he doesn't listen to anyone anymore. Maybe his family, Sare and Muhoozi and Qatar. And that's why Otafiire is frustrated, and I want to understand his frustration. So he's telling you citizens in advance that please, when you are blaming, I remember when Chogam was here, people who got deals, Chigongo told some friends, and I hope they will not be offended, that you see, a government collapses and you are all being harassed. But even this Chogam, they refused to give Maika Hotel some contract, this count, but the others we are getting. So people who are with Museveni are frustrated, except the Dombos who have been brought in to do some work.
So let's go
because
to
Dombo went in knowing that there is nothing is going to change. But there is some work. Like he was sending girls crying to Middle East. He also went to this government crying for a job.
Thank you. Then you go to Dombo
And I sympathize with him and those who trafficked Dombo into NRM. So can you allow me to make my point?
No, you are finished.
No, I haven't. I am starting.
There's no time. Yeah. Yes.
Oscar, I want to.
Your microphone is on.
Oscar, we have in the NRM constitution.
Yeah.
In the NRM constitution, where Honorable Otafiire serves as a senior leader, he knows. He knows him as a member who has been a member of SEC. He has served in all organs of the government, and he knows that there are consequences and their effects when we communicate.
Driving in London to a rich life in Dubai, where he trades women, and many of the women there are Ugandan. Apparently, he's known as Charles Mwesigwa. But the minister of youth is the one who advocated that he is found and prosecuted in Uganda. You'll be pleased with that, Agatha Atuhaire.
Well, there's nothing to be pleased about. Minister of Youth, you mean Balam?
Yes.
Okay. So
that's why I was pointed in my suggestion that you'd be pleased about that because you've not been,
it is Balam.
Because you've not been pleased with him in so many other things.
I think that first of all, ministers in this country are there for sure. There's nothing that matters whether they say something or not. So there's nothing to be pleased about that. But that aside, the story is sad, as you said it. It had to take the BBC documentary for Ugandans to be aware, maybe not just aware, just to know the extent.
The extent, yes.
Of the plight of young women.
Because we are aware. You told us the other day that you lost a relative.
Yeah. So that's the thing, that we are aware that every day we see young women leave this country and no one, there's no... Sorry, being exported like slaves, and no one cares about that, and no one cares about where they go, how they are treated, and no one has cared, even when many people have come up and spoken about these things, about what has happened there. I have told you that when we do what we call exhibitions, is call people to give information, to share experiences. If you saw how many people talked about their personal experiences, a relative who died, a relative who came sick, a relative they never saw. And we have a report about that. I think there's a young woman that has turned into an activist for that because she came from there. She's called Muiza. She was there. She was on the verge of death. She told us how she would faint because of being overworked. And when she wakes up, they say start from where you have. No one would ever take her to hospital. So the last time she fainted, they say she said she woke up after 8 hours, and they said, "Oh, this time we thought you were going to die," like casually like that. If you had died, would have. So these things have been there. Honorable Ssemujju just last week said he had to go and talk to the minister to return someone. Now that someone is lucky; they know someone who knows Honorable Ssemujju. So. But sex trafficking is worldwide. It's not a Uganda problem alone. I'm just talking about Uganda, that when it comes to a country that doesn't really care about citizens or doesn't implement their laws, it gets worse. I think worldwide, about 5 million people are victims of sex trafficking. It's a bigger part of human trafficking. You know, prominent people like Epstein and that ring that was around him. In our case, we just hope that this person is prosecuted. In most cases, the criminals in this country know someone, know big people. We have made some people above the law. Did you see how he asks if you have a passport and how easily he gets it? And he bragged that he has access to the NIRA database. So that means that he has people he works with here. He's either a fraudster who gets those Pichupuri passports, which is not likely. The likely one is that he has people inside here that he's working with. So I think the story
do you think he has impunity? Because he was talking very freely. Very freely.
Impunity is a key word in this country. Lydia said it last time. We didn't know that even people in NRM see it. So he was speaking like an untouchable person. He's not the first person to speak like that. There are those people who think that, I know Dombo who sits at the secretariat and I am and no one will touch me. I don't know if Dombo is one of those, but we know those that are. That we are very sure of. So he was speaking like someone who cannot be touched. I think that for me, if this government was serious, it would start with those that he works with here, because one of them was mentioned. Many people know many others. But we will see how far that goes, really. And I hope that that from that story it gets the attention from the authorities that it deserves, so that but also that those that are not necessary in that ring of being taken to sleep with men, those that are taken as slaves to go and become slaves of Arabs there, that is also looked into. That's
what I want Raymond to get into. We have another journalist here as well. A lot of people, Raymond, a lot of people really go looking for work, genuinely looking for work, because they have no work here. And then they end up in such situations. The passports confiscated, they have to work a period of time. That's a challenge.
Oscar, this conversation is a hard conversation, because the Emiratis themselves they don't have a population to do service work. Even the population available that would otherwise engage in this kind of service work, being receptionists, askaris, domestic workers, they don't have enough education, formal education, to be able to do that kind of work. But also, it wouldn't be paying enough money for them. So as a result, they import a lot of their service labor. So some Ugandans have been successful in the Emiratis, working in different areas, either as accountants, as lawyers, or as anything. But others have been unfortunate also to go as domestic servants, where you're under someone's household.
Yeah.
Now, for me, the thing that pains me the most is, you have this Ugandan outlook where we say we are Pan-African. We go and rescue people in South Sudan, in Central African Republic. We fight wars in Somalia. And yet, Ugandans who hold a Ugandan passport sort of have no defenses within the United Arab Emirates. And that in itself is a problem. The first problem is that people source passports for people going for domestic work here. Under the law, I think that should be legal. People should be able to get their own passport. And the second thing is when they arrive in the country of destination, those passports are withdrawn from them. So those people do not know that they have a right to their passport. And once their passport is taken away from them, these people start to threaten them. One of the things they threaten them with is, we will refuse to give it back to you, so you overstay your visa. And the UAE has this terrible law that every other day you overstay your visa, the fine increases. So you get to a point where your fines are too high and you can't come back. Other times, they take these girls on tourist visas and then get them into employment and then tell them, if the government finds out that you're working and you have a tourist visa, you will have immigration problems. So it is better for you that you don't call the police whenever you have a problem like this. Now, I thought that one of the things that would cure that is that Uganda now has 2 embassies in the UAE. We have one in Abu Dhabi, we have one in Dubai. Unfortunately, they haven't been enough to help Ugandans, particularly the ones who are doing domestic work. I don't know if it's the culture of approach to people who do domestic work, because I also see it amongst Ugandans. They treat their domestic workers almost the same way. But I think that in a country where you pride yourself on Pan-Africanism, you go and fight wars in faraway lands, fighting for Ugandans on lands where they are going to work. I think that should be one of the things the Ministry of Foreign Affairs gets very serious about. And it's not people from the UK, it's not people from Estonia, it's always these Emirati states, Jordan, UAE, Qatar. There needs to be some hard conversations. Yes, there need to be some very hard conversations. We have a clash of cultures, without a doubt. We don't share cultures with those countries. That's not a problem. But the clash of cultures shouldn't mean that people should be treated badly.
Raymond, I'll share a podcast with you. There's it is said that some countries entered into agreements with the UAE on how to treat their citizens. Ethiopia and the Philippines, and consequently their citizens are not mistreated.
Even down here, Rwanda has a working agreement with the Qatari state and the UAE state.
Really?
And one of those is, if you have a problem with a Rwandan citizen, you report that problem to the High Commission. The Rwandan police services will deal with them back home in Rwanda. So that's why you've not had consistent remarks from countries like that. But the idea that you can have protections. The girl in that documentary says she called the Dubai police, and the Dubai police said, "You Africans, you have problems that we don't want to get involved in." But that's the approach that the Dubai police takes to problems. It thinks that by getting involved in a squabble between 2 people, that it's involving itself in that. And Oscar, honestly, the embassies of Uganda in those countries should be able to do the work in terms of protecting of Ugandan citizens there. It's their job. Yeah.
Let's go to Honorable Dombo. Why are young people leaving?
At an appropriate time, I'll be talking about the youth employment and what NRM is doing.
But for now,
first of all, let me talk about this issue of labor export.
Yeah. And mistreatment of Ugandans.
And I want to confess here that I'm a participant. and how I became a participant
of exporting people,
in exporting
labor.
For 20 years, I was in parliament fighting against labor export. And because of the videos that we repeatedly saw, and that came out. After I left parliament and sat in the village, I saw the reality of the poverty, especially of the lower trodden. They have received some basic education, but they can't get better employment in Uganda because the alternatives are not there. I therefore explored, went to one of the farms here in Ntinda. One of my friends, he had the idea wanted to take people to Iraq. I refused. And I painfully registered about 10 girls from Butaleja. I cried in my eyes as I brought them to Kampala for training. And when all had traveled to their respective areas to begin employment, after 2 months, each of these girls sent me 2 million shillings to go and pay the debts in their respective homes, the monies they had borrowed when they were processing their travel.
For travel.
When I talked to them on the phone, they themselves, the girls who had traveled, sent additional money to their relatives who had remained here so that they can go. I have sent over 1,000 girls to Saudi Arabia, and if you go and look at their families and how they look like, my life changed and my attitude about labor export changed. This is what I want to tell you. Many people condemn what they don't know, but when you go to the Ministry of Finance, the leading remittances to income to Uganda, the biggest source of income to Uganda here, it is, I think remittances has been the second. Now until when gold came in, it displaced because remittances had been that changed my attitude. What people should know, that labor export has got two aspects. It has got the illegal and the legitimate trade that is conducted, which my brother here, Duncan, is talking about, where companies are registered and there is a formal way of transporting their girls. When there is a problem, the embassy is aware of the girls that have traveled and they can even make a follow-up. Actually, the one in Saudi Arabia, they have even made an app where once the girl has gone to a certain family, the location of the family is captured on the app so that somebody can make a follow-up when challenges have come up. So, legitimate, I want to say labor export is good, especially in countries where we have labor agreements. But when you go to UAE, Uganda does not have a labor export agreement with UAE. And people who send children to UAE, it becomes totally difficult to follow up should any problem occur because you even don't know what they are doing. You don't know what visas they have used to travel. And those people who export labor illegally, it is a network of highly placed people who compromise people, including government officers, to ensure that they can get their way out. They can buy off the entire process at the airport and girls travel. Actually, those people who export labor illegally don't want governments to formalize. I don't know why government of Uganda has failed to formalize the labor export to, there have been attempts to UAE. Recently, the minister went to Qatar. I don't know what exactly happened because I'm not familiar with the processes now.
Which minister?
Honorable Beta Mongi went to Qatar to go and see if we can have a formal agreement with Qatar. And one of the things which you people in parliament could encourage, with the wealth of many countries getting up, Uganda would build a niche in certain areas, which I've been studying on the internet. Hospitality is one of them. The other is nursing. Many people are getting into advanced age and nobody can look after them. Nursing is a very good profession, and if many Ugandans are trained in either home nursing, even here in Uganda, there are many farms internally that are building their capacity in providing nursing, because we have elder parents, ourselves are going to get old, and not our children are not going to be available to nurse us. And in such a situation, you may want to use professional people to nurse you. So let us develop these industries so that we can give an opportunity to many Ugandans who would otherwise be languishing without any opportunity. For my brother who doesn't know that there is a deliberate policy by the government of Uganda, and specifically by the NRM, of providing employment for the young people. There are basically 4 sectors that have been identified by the government of Uganda or by the National Resistance Movement. The first one is commercial agriculture. Oscar.
Yes.
I studied agriculture in Bukedi College, Kachonga, and I passed it. I was a member of parliament for 20 years. But it is recently that I saw something called silage. Every time I used to ask myself, because silage wasn't here. Nobody, let me tell you, we studied theory and are never practicing agriculture. If you right now you went to, there is a gentleman here in Gayaza, Light Farm, and you see professors from the university being taught by people who stopped in senior 4, but on what we should be doing in agriculture. That is what is now the transformation. So NRM, the area which we must consolidate and provide resources for is commercial agriculture. Let us encourage many young people. And when the president talks of people going into agriculture, when people produce, we shall produce raw materials for value addition, and we shall produce eggs that we shall use to produce baby food. We shall do milk, which we shall export as powdered milk. We shall do so many things for value addition. The other one is industrialization. If you went to Mukono, those who come from Mukono side, I don't know if there is an honorable cartoon to knows, and you see in a place called where there is roast chicken, Namaojolo and Barara, and you see the number of industries that are there, and you see the massive number of young people who go in the morning to go and work. Just imagine if we had so many industries like that and we're exporting in our region. People would be having work. So industrialization, in addition to commercial agriculture, then we have the service industry, the border you're talking about. That will be meeting they will be meeting the president tomorrow in Ikololo, and the industry that they are providing and many service other providers. This is an area which we should not neglect. The fourth, because of time factor, is the ICT, which you know that many young people are being creative, and there is no other area that you can think about that is not part of the 4 that I've mentioned. That is what NRM is doing, and we can only put our heads together on how best we can improve it.
I hope you know Facebook is still closed. But Raymond, you want
Oscar,
to make just one comment before we go to Honorable Ssemujju?
I normally don't like heckling. I don't like heckling people, but sometimes when people design policy, they need to hear back from the people that are designing this policy.
And by the way, I should tell you, Raymond, Macheri, this is Kadugala 1 on X formerly Twitter, says 4 hours from Kasese to Fort Portal is total misinformation. It's a very good road now, just 1 hour. That's what he tells you. But go on very quickly to Dombo.
Anyway, so the thing I wanted to impress upon Dombo is to start to listen. You know, the Youth Livelihood Program has been here for 8-9 years. The question is, what is it about this program that hasn't produced millionaires? Why aren't the youth staying here? Why are we going to Qatar if this Youth Livelihood Program is working? The barriers to commercial agriculture, barriers to entry. Number one, land. To be able to have a successful commercially agricultural farm, you need land. How many young people have the kind of money to make that kind of land purchase? Number two, inputs. The amount of inputs that you have to make commercial agriculture successful. How many young people have that? Number three, access to markets. To be able to get If I have a farm in Fort Portal, do you know how much it takes to get milk from Fort Portal into Kampala, where the market is? So those things are the reason why young people are not going into those sectors. There is a reason why young people are not going to commercial agriculture. The young girls that people are saying are going to Qatar, these are not senior 4 dropouts. These are university graduates. Some of them with first-class degrees who just don't see a functional economy here. And I think that the reason the NRM needs to listen more is the countries where these young people are going are an indictment on the NRM. In the 1970s, these were poor countries like us. These Persian countries, they were poor countries like us. They used oil resources and made dramatic investments to expand and broaden the economies.
But it said even donated to one of them.
Yes, these are the questions that we're asking. Like, what is it about our economy that you're not opening it up? Like, the idea that you're making interventions and those interventions are not working should tell you that those interventions are not functional for expanding the economy.
Okay.
And that for me is really where the pain is, that every time you hear the president say agriculture is the key to success, there is not one country amongst the top 10 economies of the world which success is agriculturally productive. Many of them are service industries. They're production industries in high net production. So I think that NRM people need to listen. They really need to listen to people that they're designing policy
Honorable
for.
Ssemujju, you've been heckling Dombo repeatedly, so now you're on microphone. BMK Gift, one of our listeners, says Charles Mwesigwa, a.k.a. Abe, was summoned to police in UAE, where he was asked some questions and let go. He left UAE and traveled to Germany. The guy must be having strong Gambano goose.
You see, Oscar, the mistreatment of Ugandans working outside is a debate that we have had periodically. I was in South Sudan at the Ugandan embassy. The Ugandans who are in South Sudan are being issued some documents by the Ugandan embassy, which they are using as an identity card. So the embassy told us, we are a group of MPs, that they had issued to 1 million Ugandans. So you have 1 million Ugandans who are in South Sudan, and they don't receive
for work.
For everything, including those who have nothing to do, but they go there because they have had others in South Sudan working. They get abducted because the behavior of the military in South Sudan is pathetic. So they abduct them, they beat them, but they continue going there. I usually tell people these days that when you see Palestinians flocking these food distribution centers where they get shot and they return the following day, it's because they don't have any other option available. People who go to the Middle East, before you blame those who are trafficking them, because the Honorable Janet Mukwaya, when she was Minister of Gender, traveled and she came to report to Parliament, and she said when the government put a ban, because there was a demand, stop, and government stopped. She told Parliament that the year that ban was in place, 40,000 Ugandans arrived in Oman. So the ban didn't work, didn't stop them. My last interaction with Beta Among, she told me officially those who are registered in Saudi Arabia are 170,000, a number bigger than Butambala district, bigger than Buku and these other small districts. They're in Saudi Arabia. When you have these huge numbers in a country, there will certainly be cases of mistreatment because many of them are not employed in factories where they are professionals. They are domestic workers serving all sorts of human beings. People who do a lot of work, you will be surprised in the Middle East. Majority are not even Arabs. They are Pakistanis, they are Indians. You see how the Indians treat women in India. And I'm not saying the Arabs treat them better. But the level of vulnerability, the point that this Ntungamo Coffee Kofi Mane has said, the future of NRM. I remember in South Sudan they were chasing borders, and MPs were very angry. And I said, you guys, South Sudan that became a country yesterday, so you want to quarrel with it over border jobs? What will their people do? You get back every Ugandan here and find a solution. These people became a country yesterday. The few opportunities available, you want to go and take them over. So the point that the Honorable Dombo made is that he himself has helped over 1,000 to go, and he said when he was bringing them, he was almost crying. But Dombo is like Palestinians who go to pick food and they get shot. Even at his level, he has no solution, Dombo. The solution is for him to go and collect girls from Butareja and facilitate their exportation to...
Where did you send them, by the way?
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. So if a senior government official
And they have all come back.
moving from one radio to another to defend the government, the solution available to him is also to export girls. Really, why do you blame anyone else? That because I was in Ethiopia some time back, and I was told there was also a time Ethiopia put a ban, and there were demonstrations until they reopened. Ethiopia is competing with Uganda. I think we are the two leading exporters of girls and boys to the Middle East. So we don't have a solution, and I think this story, maybe it is up for discussion because it was on BBC. But I have had cases where I've participated calling government people to return girls who are stranded. And when you go to the ministry, they will tell you, because Ugandan companies that are licensed here, they carry these people to companies that are licensed to where they are taking them. And in the last case for which I went to see the minister, because there are different categories. If you don't have money, they will process for you a passport, air ticket, and visa. The reason they take away your passport is that they have invested in you. So you need to work and pay. And when you complete the payment, you are now free. If you want, you can continue. If you want, you can come back. In Saudi Arabia, they now have what they call accommodation. You get a problem at a place of work, they return you and then process you. If you have been working for Dombo, who is very brutal, then they take you to Katuntu. If Katuntu mistreats you, they take you to Abigaba of coffee. So this is how these girls are juggled around. But the solution is not in quarreling with who's trafficking. And then you need, especially Dubai, you need to understand, because there was people thinking that Dubai is dying to have Ugandan girls there. There was time they went around hunting for Ugandans. Remember the case of one who jumped from skyscraper and he died, because the police was looking for people who are in Dubai illegally, and they don't want to come back. Because the impression people create is that Dubai actually is dying to have you. They are not. Last December, Dubai was not issuing visas, including to government officials with diplomatic notes, because they don't want you to go to their country. You have flooded it. They want you to reduce. They even put an amnesty and said whoever wants to go back, and now whether you have overstayed or not, please, we can return you, facilitate your return. So many of these countries are not dying to have you Ugandans who are crying. And I want people to understand that, because they look at Arabs as if they are the ones involved in enslaving. So people are volunteering to go and get enslaved, because the conditions here are pathetic and there is no solution. Museveni tomorrow is meeting borders. If you look at the report of the population census, we now have 5.2 million border riders in Uganda. And the president tomorrow is going to celebrate that achievement. One of the gains he has listed in his manifesto, celebrating the gains of NRM. Graduates, teachers, everybody is in border. And then you go to Morago and see how the accidents have ravaged them. So really, where we are, I remember when we had the food shortage, the president said everybody is on his own. And I think that's what Dombo has labored the whole morning to say, that you guys, there is no solution. Even me, as senior as I am, I am also involved in the trafficking. So where do you, why, please, we don't have a solution. That's my understanding of Dombo's contribution. The hormone.
We do not have.
But Agatha, if Ssemujju tells you that it's 170,000 Ugandans, well, 1,000 is it's minimum.
So this is what I wanted to say. What Duncan was saying about us having agreements, we do not have agreements with all of them. But what is very surprising is that countries where we actually have MOUs are where we have had the worst problems.
Oh.
Saudi Arabia. Now, look at people that are reported to be dying in those countries or organs harvested. Most cases have come from Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Oman. Actually, now Dubai, we do not have many cases, apart from now this sex trafficking that has come up now. But, I have done work around this. So I'm talking about what I know, that where we have MOUs, even MOUs are not helping. And it comes to what we are saying. You are saying that we are looking at, we are painting it as a bad picture because it is a third forex earner now. Even prostitution could earn us money. If I am forced into prostitution because of conditions and circumstances, and I am able to help at home, are you as a government going to be happy that now prostitution, where people are forced into that, and even this sex trafficking we are talking about? Because most of these people sometimes know what lies ahead, but there's nothing here. There's nothing here for them to feed on, to look after their children. The girl that died, that was murdered in that documentary, the biggest fight came from her master not sending money to her sick mother because she had worked. I think she wouldn't have had a problem. She had worked, but this person kept saying, you still owe me money, and refused to send money to her sick mother. So that does not make it okay that because Uganda is earning, it's number 3 in earnings. You have to look at what is causing people to do that. But after failing to do that, at least make sure that people who are going in these countries are safe. Okay. There is a reason the Philippines are safe there. There is a reason other countries are safer there, because they come from countries that have put in place ways of, especially of making sure that the companies that are taking them.
Thank you, Agatha.
Oscar.
I think last I wanted to talk about diplomats.
Yes.
Honorable Katumbi spoke about diplomats.
Honorable Dombo, what lessons do you take from this discussion that you would like to promote since you're in the business and you have NRM power?
The lessons I've learned, you have heard what my sister Agatha said, that why is it that is working in the other country called what? Philippines.
Yes.
So it is a legitimate thing that can be encouraged.
Yeah.
So it should not be condemned.
No,
you cannot encourage it or praise.
We are condemning that Ugandans are dying.
We are
not condemning that.
Just let me give my response.
Yeah.
Because in Uganda here, when we take Ugandans to go and find an opportunity to live, you want to condemn the activity. But then you say in the Philippines, they are doing it differently. Yes, let us improve the systems. Let us have reports where it has happened. Even your research which you are talking about, had you talked about Mwesigwa? Have you ever found about Mwesigwa? If your research is legitimate, it is BBC that is telling us about Mwesigwa, and you are doing research you have never found about it. So a lot of things are happening.
Yeah.
A lot of things are happening in Dubai. A lot of things are happening there. But progressively, when you have a bilateral, and the embassy is aware when the children live here, and the children who choose to go through legitimate companies, we shall be able to fight that. But when you go to Dubai, you find that everybody who is doing this is not doing so through.
Honorable Dombo, we appeal to you to clean up the system.
The majority of those people in Dubai are not anywhere registered.
They were smuggled.
They've all gone in illegally.
Absolutely.
And that's the problem. Ssemujju, imagine the youths on one of your campaigns, especially the one I'll come to in my village, Nigeria, the youths in front of you. What do you intend to tell them considering
To remove
discussion? Okay, that's all.
Yeah. That's see, when a school fails, you remove the headmaster.
There should be a plan.
We had the 7 year on this very table. I remember what I told him.
Whether it's 10 years ago.
Yes.
No, 10. Yeah.
It's 2014. It's about 10.
It was 2015 and 2016.
I told him that when he came here, Uganda was the project. Along the way, Museveni became the project. Maybe Abdul Brody says politics became the project. If you look at the budget formulation, the release of the money, the NRM will have much more money, and Dombo, a person of his caliber, is celebrating that they have money to feed the 5 million borders, and he said even on nomination we will feed you. They don't have 6 billion in the budget for the curriculum development center to conclude the curriculum for children in senior 5. So the starting point for looking for a solution, even the little resources that we have, the moment you deploy them appropriately, you may not solve all the problems, but you will be starting on solving the problems. Because look at the releases when money comes. Money meant for roads is not being released, but Museveni has enough to give everybody. He came with the money in my constituency, giving people who are standing on the road. We are speaking about agriculture, and Domo said you can find a solution. We are told Uganda receives the highest amount of rainfall in the world, but irrigation in Uganda is at 2%. So even if you start a commercial farming like this man of coffee was saying, look, this season has failed. People are cutting down maize plantations in Murende, in Masaka, and everywhere. In a country that receives the highest amount of rainfall, you go to Dubai, Oscar today, you will find Kenyan mango labeled, not just taken to Dubai, but labeled because they are sweet. Kenyan mango in Dubai, in the supermarket.
And avocado.
Yes, but for you, you're only exporting girls, even senior NRM people are involved. The Kenyans are, when South Sudan became independent, the banks, Equity Bank and Kenya Commercial Bank went to South Sudan. Uganda exported borders. Here,
Thank you, Honorable
the solution, you remove the headmaster and then restructure.
Kaija,
Otherwise, you'll be wasting your time.
You left in FDC, Kaija tells you, when you hear State House.
Kaija is with me in PFF.
I thought he's still in FDC.
No.
When you hear State House announcing that they'll provide drinks and eats, it only tells you that they've lost trust, and the hungry Ugandans can only stay hungry.